Hello everyone. Haven't made a Path of Exile video in a very long time, but I thought I would make one going over the sort of well-renowned cemetery strategy. Um, Strategy's propped up quite a lot this league. Essentially, just abusing the Tier 7 Cemetery and the rare monsters that spawn from Abyss Spires, as well as the League mechanic. So, the League mechanic basically adds a bunch of juice and scales the map exceptionally high to the point where these Tier 7 maps at some points are feeling harder than Tier 16s in previous leagues, which is quite interesting, but it's quite a lot of fun because it makes running these Tier 7 maps not like a complete cakewalk, and they are like somewhat challenging. The nice part is you're fairly unkillable once you sort of reach a end game esque sort of build and level of defense, which is nice. I'm sort of struggling to transition into tier 16s at the minute. I've tried a few, but I still need I feel like I need a bit more damage, even though I have like a lot of the significant items needed on my character. So I'm sort of sticking with tier 7s for the minute, so I thought I'd make a video sort of going over it. The Atlas passive tree, the Gorafa, I believe, a hardcore player, has done a strategy very similar to this. I basically piggybacked off of that and sort of added a few things to it myself to sort of so I could do the tree slightly different, but it's basically the same idea. Taking all the Abyss nodes, taking all the Beyond nodes, and then going Wandering Path with 7th Gate so that we can craft Abyss on the map device. The link to the Atlas tree will be in the description on a Maxroll page. And obviously the gameplay that was put previous, or I'll put it at the end of the video. More likely, I'll probably put it previously. The gameplay that you'll see at the end of this video sort of be going over a map with around 6k juice in it, I think. So you'll sort of see the scale of what the juice does to the monster's HP, but I'm also running Wellspring of Creation because the Abyssal Spires have too little HP for my build, so I need them to be a bit tankier, so I go for this so that monsters in my maps have 50% more life. Just off of the basis that I don't instantly kill the spires because I'm running Mirage Archer, and if I have a lot of Headhunter buffs, without this I will just one-shot them, which is something to note if you're playing a very strong build and you're struggling to keep the spires alive because they're just instantly dying. Run this. Really, really, really good node for a strategy like this because you're just making it easier on yourself. This node here, Endless Tide, is optional. I've personally chosen to run it because I ran about 50 maps without it, and the Beyond bosses didn't really drop anything significant, and they were just a pain in the ass, so I've just left them. And then I've taken Ritual Chance here, Ritual Chance up here, and then Ritual Chance down here as well. So I've got like 30%, I believe. So have a quick look. I believe it's 30%, 40%. Yeah, so I've got another 10% R and then one down here. Yeah. Couple of important things to note. You don't really need these Diviners nodes here. I've just taken them because I didn't know where else to put the points. I'm sure there's something more efficient I could do with them, but I've sort of just opted to have more Diviner strongboxes because I feel like they might be better. However, actually, I'm sort of feeling like Arcanist would be the better option, and then doing something else with this point, like probably just take non-unique match. Yeah, so that's probably what I'd do. So I'd do something like this, and then obviously Wandering Path because we are a Magic Find build, and taking all of the quant wheel here, and then pathing in through Harbinger to take the quantity and rarity. Harbinger isn't necessarily part of the strategy. It's just like the best nodes you can take. Like I don't feel like expedition counter being spawnable can sort of reduce the natural chance of an abyss spawning, so you want to mitigate that. And Harbingers spawn rares quite frequently, so I went with Harbinger. My reasoning might be pretty bad, but that's sort of why I've pathed through Harbinger. It's also quite point efficient. It's not right, but it kind of is at the same time. Like it's going to give me the best outcome for the input. But yeah, regardless, this is the Atlas tree. Strongbox nodes down here. Wellspring of Creation if you have too much damage, and every Abyss node you can take that sort of adds to increase Abyss spawn chance and monsters and stuff like that, because it's all about the Abyss. That's where majority of your currency is going to be coming from in these maps. When rolling your maps, you want to look for pack size secondarily. So pack size is a second priority. Number one priority is rolling 2 additional projectiles. This is mandatory in every single map. If your maps do not have 2 additional projectiles, the spires will not be spawning nearly as many mobs. So what we're doing is we're using the spires, because spires are monsters, we're making them spawn additional projectiles. The rare monsters that they shoot out are projectiles, so they're always spawning 3 rares every time they do that animation, so you're getting 200% more rare monsters from just that. And we use Gilded Abyss because of the reason we're using tier 7 maps as well. So not 100% sure what map level it is. I believe it's map monster level 78 or lower that abyssal depths can't spawn. So we are always going to be getting spires from every abyss, which is why Gilded is necessary, because abysses that do not lead to an abyssal depths will lead to a Stygian spire, and because we can't get abyssal depths, we're always getting a Stygian spire. So really, really, really good. And then Reliquary is also mandatory. You are going to be needing to run Gilded Abyss and either Gilded or Polished Reliquary, depending on your budget. Reliquary is probably going to be like the most significant part, because you will see the amount of uniques that I get in the gameplay after I talk over the strategy. It's just ridiculous. And you also want to be sort of getting uniques get converted into currency, scarabs and whatnot. And obviously that quantity gets buffed by the wisps. It's a whole bunch of stupid scaling. Like, the amount of money to be made this league is unbelievable. I've had 30 divine explosions, 30 divine in scarabs explosions. Like, it's ridiculous. So yeah, mandatory 2 projectiles, Gilded Abyss, and then Polished, Gilded, or Winged Reliquary. I would say you really want to be going Gilded Reliquary at the minimum. So you would need those 2 and this minimum. In terms of sextants, you would want Beyond, mandatory, Abyss, mandatory, and then you can get away without the others. I'm running Delirium. Delirium makes a pretty big difference, but you definitely don't need it to get the strategy off the ground. Optionally, you can drop Unending Nightmare if you're super tight on Atlas points. Like, say you've just league started and you've got like a decent build and you do have like 10 divines, right? But your Atlas points are lacking, but you need to make some money to choose your build. You can drop Unending Nightmare and then you can just put a Delirium Orb, like the cheap, shitty ones, which is slightly cheaper than the Sextant. I believe, or it's like basically the same price, but obviously trading for them is really difficult and quite annoying to get them in bulk, and trading for sextants these days is a lot easier, which is why I opt for the sextant. And then I'm running additional strong boxes and then corrupting all my strong boxes because I'm running the ambush scarab, but I don't think the ambush scarab is necessarily worth it in terms of like this is like a test run I'm doing. Ambush scarab probably not worth it unless you're running enraged strongbox and delirium orbing the maps. So you drop delirium, mirror, take enraged strongbox, and then orb the maps to get delirium. At that point I think it's probably way better, but strongboxes in general are pretty handy because they do spawn rare monsters fairly frequently, which is why I'm just putting Gilded Ambush in there, because I'm still making a shitload of money regardless, so it's not really a problem. Sustaining maps can be quite difficult in terms of if you don't understand what you're doing. So as you can see, I've got 4 void stones in my atlas right now, and my cemetery map, wherever it is, well, all my maps are tier 16, right? But if I take all of these maps out and I favorite a different one, as you can see in my cemetery, if we go over here and find it, it's tier 7. So you run a map with 1 void stone in. Once you've opened it, the sextant will apply and your atlas will be registering it as a tier 7, so you can then get tier 7 maps drop. So if you're farming 8 mod maps doing a strategy, for example, you'd remove all but 1 void stone to make the maps drop whilst you're in the map, and then when you open a new map you have to put them back in. I have opted to buy maps and not bother with that because it's really frustrating and it's really annoying doing it every single time you enter a map, and it's like two 2 divines for 60 maps. So I've opted to buy maps because I don't care enough. But if you are struggling to sustain maps, or you want to over sustain maps, and you want to make a bit of extra money and you don't mind trading, then you can take out 3 of the void stones to get maps drop naturally, and you will over sustain by like 10 times, and you'll make a bunch more money in just selling the cemetery maps. So it's an easy way to make a bit of additional profit doing this strategy. Other than that, that's pretty much it. The maxroll.gg will be in the description. I will put some gameplay at the end of this video so you can sort of see what to expect in the maps. These maps are extremely challenging once they start scaling. Even as a tier 7, I have bricked a 10k juice tier 7 map on a character with about 400 divines invested into it. Defense is super important this league. Defense definitely comes first before offense in this league, but when it comes to moving into tier 16 maps, you're going to need both. So good luck, and I hope this strategy sort of finds you well.